Young Junk!
Welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And here on the 4th week of Bootober. You like that, right?
Yes.
We are going to wrap up our conversation around our yearly horror/supernatural film showcase with 2002's The Blackening.
2022.
2022's The Black. I was so happy that I hit Bootober. I forgot about the rest of it. They can't kill all of us first.
No.
But before we get to The Blackening, what's going on, Lynn?
You want to know what's going on, Vince?
Yes?
Wait.
What are you doing? What is happening right now?
I got flowers.
Yes, you do.
I got flowers.
You
man.
do.
Look, I got roses.
Oh, roses for Lynn.
Ooh.
Very nice. Would you like to share with the class any more details about the roses, or just that you got them?
Well, I think somebody either took it very seriously when I was called honey last week on the show.
Right. And got threatened. Someone felt threatened.
Yes, so a lovely Nakia came and gave me flowers.
Gave you some flowers.
Yes, and said thank you for doing such
Very
a fantastic
nice.
job on the show.
Very nice.
So,
a
thank
rose
you.
for Lynn.
So thank you. 12 roses.
12 roses for Lynn.
12 roses.
Right.
It's 12.
Not to be confused with A Rose for Emily, which is my favorite William Faulkner short story.
You just take all the fun and joy out of it.
I'm sorry. I said A Rose for Lynn, you know.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. Well, that's wonderful, though.
Jesus, man, you just kill romance. Shit.
Nothing says love like William Faulkner short stories.
Anywho, how are you doing, Vincent?
I am fine. Excellent.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
You were telling me about a recent super purchase that you made at a comic book shop in Washington, D.C.
I did. You want to talk about that?
Just real quick.
We got that kind of time?
Oh, just real quick.
I bought a hardback of Godzilla Half Century War by James Stokoe, who is an artist whose work I greatly enjoy. And what I told Lynn is that I got the hardback collection of. Look, y'all, for the record, Lynn brought. Let's be clear. No one is going to care anything about what I'm saying but Lynn. But
no,
somehow
that's not true.
We're sharing.
That's not
true. I like the hardback because it's a little bigger, so that I could focus on the art more.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you will notice, a lot of kaiju or large monster movies, kaiju are like the Japanese monsters, ladies and gentlemen,
right.
such as your Godzilla, Mothra, things like those. Movies such as those, they get lumped into horror. So this is still kind of on a horror tip. So that's why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay, all right.
So I was keeping it in theme.
Keeping it in theme.
And we do have missionaries out there who like Scheme Richards, who's a huge Godzilla and kaiju fan.
I didn't tell Scheme anything. Scheme learned nothing from what I just said.
Okay, all right, because he already knows.
Yeah, all right,
but he would love to hear, like, they mentioned it in my book. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right.
So,
well, yes, that's what happened. And then I recommended it to Lynn. Because Lynn and I like comics,
and we do like the huge monster,
right?
kaiju.
The kaiju, the big monsters.
Yes,
all right.
Because you recommended another book to me.
Wow, we're really doing this, huh?
Because we're still in horror.
We're still got that kind of time tonight, huh? All right, yeah, go ahead.
You recommended another book to me.
I did.
Called Kaiju Max.
Kaiju Max.
Now, kaiju, like I told you, are the large monsters, ladies and gentlemen. Kaiju Max is if you would imagine all of these crazy Japanese monsters in Oz.
In Oz. Oz, the television show about prison. So Kaiju Max is like a super max. If you know, the conceit is that this is a world where the giant monsters are treated like criminals.
Yes. And they're all rounded up in this super max prison.
Right.
And akin to every prison, there are,
prison guards
who are kind of like Ultraman.
Right. They use the Ultraman technology to grow big.
And there are prison kaiju gangs. Mm-hmm. So there's Nazi kaiju.
Well, not Nazi.
Muslim kaiju.
No, that's not it at all.
Christian kaiju.
So you were so busy, I didn't say that at all.
White supremacist kaiju.
There's not any of that in this at all.
It's like Oz.
It's Oz.
It's just like Oz.
There are different factions. So you've got
there are gay kaiju. It really sounds fantastic. I can't wait to read this book, Kaiju Max.
Well, I can't wait for you to read it as well. Right? You'll have to report back to class. Tell us what you think.
I will.
All right.
I will. All right.
All right.
Hey, see, George Cremona is in the chat. A shout out to everybody out there in the chat as we are streaming live from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace here in Manayunk. Go to videocontentfactory.com, book your time in one of their fabulous studios. Shout out to each and every one of you out there as we're streaming live to YouTube and to Facebook. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
George Cremona is in the chat.
Yes.
George, who is not usually with us throughout the whole show, so it's always like
good to see George.
He's asking for your thoughts, Vincent, on JLA versus Godzilla, which is another kaiju comic book that is out there right now.
Right, I actually haven't read it yet, so my thoughts are: I saw the preview. The art looked fun.
The art looks fun. It looks like I don't know if I don't need it.
Right.
But
Right.
It's whatever. And Robert Monroe Jr. just did our last little touch in it.
Last
little kaiju touch here. Wants to know, Vince.
Yes.
Did you get the Criterion Gojira collection?
Right. Well, long-time listeners know. Maybe it's probably been 2 years now.
At least.
I got it for my birthday.
Yeah.
So I did get it, and it's wonderful.
Now, how often do you pull it out and rewatch it?
Oh, no, I haven't rewatched it. I watched it all the way through.
Okay.
I kind of flip, because, it's a beautiful collection. It's got like these, books and booklets in, but I do flip through. I just flipped through it a couple of days ago because, since we're here, I'm so looking forward to the Monarch show that's about to come out on Apple TV, which is the show looks like it's focused on the organization in the current Godzilla films.
Yes, in the current Godzilla King Kong films.
King Kong films. So
and I think the series is actually going to be like kind of like a
connective tissue and
lead into the sequel to Godzilla Kong 2.
Right. And I have not been disappointed by any science fiction on Apple TV. So
cool. All right.
This has been Kaiju Talk.
This has been Kaiju Talk in Bootober. So we're covering all forms of horror.
All forms of horror.
See, I was on brand. I knew what I was doing.
Our brand has a level of elasticity that I'll allow it.
Well, bless you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into our regular features here on the show, starting with emails.
All right.
Which means that we have missives from the missionaries.
This is from the missionaries. So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Missives from the missionaries.
Got an email from Eric Bray.
Hey, what's up, Eric?
Actually been sitting on this one and it got lost in the shuffle for a little bit.
Sorry, Eric.
So while listening to the Paris is Burning episode of the Micheaux Mission, or as I finally come to think of it, the Michael Sykes mailbag guest starring Vince and Len. Ooh, burn. I was overcome with nostalgia by your top 5 segment featuring hip hop moments of September of 1990.
Okay.
As someone who has kept Road to the Riches in heavy rotation since it debuted, I was thrilled to hear Cool G Rap and DJ Polo made the Source's #1 rap single that month. Like Len, I never knew they made it that big. Along with your shout out to Philly's own 3 Times Dope, the list transported me back to those innocent days of my youth when I rushed home from school to tune into Yo MTV Raps. Speaking of the early 90s music scene, I was hoping you could clarify a point concerning hip-hop/movie duo Kid and Play for me.
Okay.
I've often heard people, Vince included, vaguely diss the latter artist, but have never heard why. Kid himself even teases his partner, recounting in interviews how in the wake of House Party's success, a carload of people passing by would shout, "Play, you ain't shit." For all I know, he deserves it, but I'm just wondering what the source of the hate is. I don't remember his rap or dance skills being so much worse than Kid's, and he was usually saddled with the thankless role of playing second fiddle to Kid in most of their movies. I'm sorry if this has already been explained, but I have to ask, why no love for Play?
Why no love for Play?
Before you answer that, speaking of House Party, I'm looking forward to your review of the recent remake. With similar reboots like Space Jam: A New Legacy and Hulu's White Man Can't Jump, what are your thoughts on this trend? Are they adding anything to the modern film pantheon or shameless cash grabs? Do they provide opportunities for younger talent by capitalizing on the success of their predecessors? Or are they symptomatic of a creative drought in a movie landscape ruled by trusted franchises? Or does it just depend on the reboot? Your fan, Eric Bray from Savannah, Georgia.
All right. Well, for the record, I think Lynn was the one who had the fatwa against Play, not me. So, Lynn, I'll let you handle what is the Play hate, because that's your man.
He has no talent. I think he is a bit of he's turned into a bit of a hip hop historian.
Right.
So I will give him his bona fides for that. And he's always one who recognizes Philadelphia's place in hip hop history, more specifically Lady B's place in hip hop history. But as far as a rapper, I thought that he had little to no talent. I think the charisma that he purportedly exudes came off a little like slimy feeling to me, especially up against Kid, to be fair. And I think he drank his own Kool-Aid because of the success of his movies and thought maybe he was a bigger star than he actually was. So that's my thing about Play, the rapper.
Right.
Not knocking the dude. I don't know the dude.
Right.
But that's my thing about Play. And I think that's what people have read off of him over the years.
Sure. I mean, talent-wise, I think the belief, because, now that I think about it, I don't know how much I've actually researched it. But I think a common belief among hip-hop fans at the time was that whole
collective,
Herbie Love Bug collective used ghostwriters.
Well, and one of the main ones was Herb himself, because I think he did a lot of the writing for Salt and Pepper.
Right. So that early Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play. Because how many albums did Kid and Play have?
Maybe 4.
Did they have 4? Did they have 3?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe 4.
Right. So it was very much a common belief at the time that they had ghostwriters.
You got to think that they at least had 4, because they probably had at least soundtracks for all their movies.
Sure. So right. Yeah. Regardless, no one has ever claimed Kid or Play as lyricists.
Right.
And then even at the time when MCs really had more of a space as entertainers, where like everyone would foreground, like Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane's a perfect example, where everyone knew Big Daddy Kane was a killer MC.
Yes.
But Big Daddy Kane also would put on a great show.
He would.
With Snoop and Scrap. And he would. So, there was space to be a dancer as well. So Kid always had that lane. Like Kid was a dancer. And even when you look at videos, and Play used to say this, that he basically was trying to play catch up with Kid dance-wise.
Yes.
So, he wasn't really respected as an MC. He wasn't really respected as a dancer. In his defense, I do think the Play as the slimy guy was always part of his persona. Like all the way back to the Salt and Pepper video for Tramp, where he played that dude. So, like as you said, we don't know that guy. Like all we know about Play is his public persona. And his persona was always like, he never really struck you as far as that persona as somebody that like you wanted to leave your female friend around.
Exactly.
Like, if you put your drink down around him, you had to go get a new drink.
That's right.
That guy.
That's right.
But that was always your thing. like Lynn, and I've said this to Lynn's face, Lynn has weird beefs. Like, he has the most random beefs. Yeah, the dude who played the second Lionel? I can't stand that motherfucker. And he knows why. It's like, how you got a beef with the dude who played the second Lionel?
Well, because he had no talent.
See? He was not good. I knew you had an opinion on second Lionel.
He was not good. He was horrible.
Then they brought back first Lionel and
because they couldn't stand him.
Because you couldn't stand.
They couldn't stand him.
Right, but and as far as the reboots, I'm against them. I always feel like
for the most part.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a good exception.
Well, it's not really a reboot because it really is more of a sequel. When I'm thinking of like Nia DaCosta's Candyman.
Right.
That's really more of a sequel.
And it was kind of a secret sequel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, more often than not, the
Damn,
reboots,
you would pull the one exception.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's not a reboot.
It's not a reboot. Although, we're far enough out from it that we can talk about it. I think they kept it secret that it wasn't a reboot.
Yes, they did.
Right. Like they really did play it like it was
play it up like it was going to be.
Right.
Well, what about the Fresh Prince? You like the Fresh Prince?
Oh, I do like the Fresh Prince. Wow, you're killing me right now, Lynn. If you pick a third one, I'm just going to say I was wrong. Can you go for a third one? And I'll just say I was just wrong.
I can't think of another one that was successful because
or like that I liked.
Or that you liked,
right? Because I can't get Shaft, and White Men Can't Jump, and House Party out my head. White Men Can't Jump was Sonique Wells, who we'll be talking about soon.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of another one.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
All right.
That was good.
Okay, then I can stand.
Yeah, you can stand on that. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, boo them.
Boo them.
With
except for the exceptions.
Except for the few
which
exceptions.
Lynn pulled out very quickly. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. We have one more email.
Okay.
And it's Eric's favorite emailer.
Yes.
Michael Sykes.
What's going on, Michael?
This time he is up to Adios Amigos.
Adios Amigos.
The Western starring Fred Williamson and Richard Pryor.
Yes, it is.
Hello, Len and Vincent. Happy Bootober.
Happy Bootober to you as well.
I'm listening to y'all podcast episode of 1975's Adios Amigo, and wow, What a horrible movie.
Yeah, it really was.
It's a shame that the myth, the man, the legend, Richard Pryor couldn't save this movie. 90% of Richard Pryor movies I've seen, I've liked. Yes, that includes 1982, The Toy, in which I liked better than Adios Amigos. Okay.
I think we all did.
Okay, true. The Toy is better than Adios Amigos.
Yeah.
The Toy does not wear well, though.
Right. Well, that just tells you how bad Adios Amigos is.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, more so than anything else.
I recently watched Fred Williamson's interview on Vlad TV, where he said that Sammy Davis Jr. was supposed to play Richard Pryor's character, but due to being a low-budget movie, and Sammy Davis Jr. had 75-person entourage, it was too much for the film. So it was a trade-off, trading Sammy for Richard.
Why did Sammy Davis Jr.
Had 75 people in his entourage to go film a movie? That makes absolutely no sense.
Sammy Davis Jr. was never not Sammy Davis Jr.
And that's his problem.
Look.
Then Fred said this about the movie. It became a big film, #1 for the first week at the box office. I've never made a film that don't make big money. Every movie I play in is a big film. Watching the film and the interview, I wonder, was Fred snorting coke with Richard? I mean, really, him and Richard Pryor probably snorted so much coke during the making of Adios Amigos, you could build a 7-foot snowman out of it. This man was bragging about how the low-budget movies he wrote, produced, directed, like Adios Amigos, Mr. Mean, One Down, Two to Go, Black Cobra, Original Gangsters, and On the Edge. The way he was talking in the Vlad interview, you would think he wrote, produced, and directed The Color Purple, Friday, Do the Right Thing, and Moonlight. And Vlad was just eating it up. To be fair, Vlad does the best thing that any interviewer can do when moments like that occur.
Just let him talk.
Just let the man talk.
Yeah.
And you just let him talk, and you just let him feed him breadcrumbs, and let him just keep on eating them up. The last highest grossing box office film that Fred Williamson was in was MASH from 1970. Don't get me wrong, I loved him in Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem, Hammer, and Bucktown, and respect him for what he did for African Americans on film and sports. Len and Vincent, which one is better and why? Fred Williamson's Adios Amigos.
Okay.
Or Mario Van Peebles' Posse.
Okay.
Love, your fan, Michael Sykes.
Okay. You want to go?
Oh, this is easy.
I know it's easy.
Posse.
Yeah.
I mean, despite Mario Van Peebles.
Absolutely.
It is a better made movie. Believe it or not, it's got a bit of a better story, a little bit more of a charisma.
It's got 3 better stories.
Well, that's true.
Remember, it had like 9 different plots.
It's got a better camaraderie amongst its posse. It's got Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Adios Amigos, it literally looks like the home movies of the making of a movie.
Yeah.
It is that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we not to re-critique it, but remember Adios Amigos, I think Fred Williamson's big miscalculation was that he could just let Richard Pryor riff for an hour and a half. But there's no structure there. And I don't have in my head lining up where Richard was with his
career, but he was still
and with his very well publicized
habits,
drug addiction and habits with when it was, but it seemed like this was a moment where he wasn't necessarily at his sharpest.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And Fred Williamson also makes the miscalculation that I think a lot of big action heroes make, in that they start believing that the character that they are reading on a script that was written for them,
right?
That has kind of like some clever quips to come back, is actually them,
right?
And that they can riff
right
in real time like that, and they can't.
Yeah, and I think Fred Williamson always had, just a huge ego.
Yeah.
Like I always think about how Fred Williamson to this day, he's like the Japanese soldiers on the Pacific Island who don't know that World War II was over. Like if you talk to him, he's still fighting about the term blaxploitation and about the way like I remember him interviews when both I'm Gonna Get You Sucker and Black Dynamite came out, and he was very sort of angry about this mockery of this period, even though both of them, and certainly Black Dynamite, really just sort of lovingly satirized this period. But Fred Williamson has always been like, you don't joke about Fred Williamson.
I know.
So
he takes himself too seriously.
Yes, I believe so. But yeah, I would also choose Posse.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you for the emails, Eric and Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have thoughts that you would like to share on the Michael Sykes portion of the show, you can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. And now it's time for the top 5.
All right.
Top 5. Who's your top 5? My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
Top 5, ladies and gentlemen, where I come up with a top 5 list and I read it off to Vincent, and Vince gives us his scintillating commentary on it. Tonight, Vincent.
Yes.
Keeping in theme.
Thematic.
Tonight, we are going to be reviewing The Blackening.
Yes, we are.
Which is a horror comedy. But it is also an attempt to make an all-black horror parody,
yes,
if you will, right? So it's and not that there haven't been horror parodies done before, such as Scary Movie,
of course.
But this is trying to blacken that genre up.
Yes.
Okay. So keeping in theme, tonight's top 5 are other movies that have been blackened, or such as, should I call them, the top 5 blackened classic movies.
Okay.
All right.
Blackening of other movies.
Yes.
There you go. What we got?
And we're going to start with number 5.
Number 5.
From 1974.
Okay.
The Black Connection.
The Black Connection.
A blackening of perhaps the French Connection.
Okay.
You tell me how close to get. Are you familiar with the French Connection?
I'm familiar with the French Connection. I thought you were going to say, was I familiar with the Black Connection, which I'm not.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but I love the French Connection.
But you love the French Connection.
Yeah.
I actually just rewatched the French Connection last week.
Nice. That was a good use of time.
The Black Connection from 1974 features 3 members of the music group The Checkmates Limited in acting roles.
This thing's going to go off the rails immediately.
Oh, it immediately goes off the rails.
This is immediately going off the rails.
Because the Black Connection is also known by its more provocative title, Run Nigger Run. The alternative moniker gives a better sense of the storyline. Or at least a confusing blur of narrative events that pass for a storyline.
Goodness gracious. Is this a United Artists film? No, not United Arts. American International
I don't believe it's American national anthem. I think it's like really hardcore indie.
Right.
The piece revolves into a melodrama concerning African American crook Miles Carter, who's having some sort of trouble with white gangsters.
As one does.
The best guess is he's a pusher and they're his suppliers, but now he wants a bigger piece of the action, or else he's running a scheme on the gangsters and they get wise. Nevertheless, the Black Connection is so thoroughly terrible that parsing the details isn't worth the effort. Only the funk tunes on the soundtrack by the Checkmates.
From what I understand, 3 of their members are in the film.
Yes. Only the funk tunes are passable, though your guess is as good as mine why the film contains a ballad with the lyric, "Would you like to buy my pretty balloon?"
Is it a balloon of heroin?
I don't know. There's some fighting, some sex, some tough talk. The best zinger is by a young woman when characterizing on an adversary's shortcomings. The trouble with her is she don't know a lady when she sees one, and I'm a motherfucking lady. Clearly. That is the Black
Connection. We'll get to that eventually. Because what I understand, we're going to watch all of them.
We're going to watch all of them.
Well, there you go. That's number 5, the Black Connection.
Now, how do you feel that did in translating the story of the French Connection
at all? They both have the word connection in them, and it sounds like there may be some drugs involved.
So you don't think that pulled it off?
I don't.
Maybe number 4
Maybe
will work
number
better.
4 will.
Number 4 from 1973 is Blackenstein.
Blackenstein, our beloved Blackenstein.
Also known as Black Frankenstein.
Yeah, just in case Blackenstein was too confusing. You know, the Negro is oftentimes thrown off by wordplay. So we will alternately name it Black Frankenstein so that the urban market will understand that it is a Frankenstein movie, but that the Frankenstein is black.
That's very true.
Okay.
This film from 1973, directed by William Levy and starring John Hart, Ivory Stone, Andrea King, Roosevelt Jackson, and John Dessau.
Which one is the stage name? Ivory Stone or Roosevelt Jackson?
I knew you were going to say something about that. This movie is loosely based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein.
I cannot believe they said it's based on the novel and not even the movie. Like they're saying it's based on the novel. Fantastic. At some point he gets lost in Antarctica.
It was released on August of 1973, and it was made in an attempt to cash in on the American International Pictures success with the horror genre. Right. However, Blackenstein fared poorly in comparison, with most reviews agreeing that the film was a totally inept mixture of the worst horror and blaxploitation.
That's 100% correct.
Yes.
We have not talked about it on this podcast, but we have talked about it on another podcast, so we're familiar.
That's very true.
Blackenstein is terrible.
It's terrible. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that one didn't stick to landing.
We can only go up from here.
Maybe number 3.
From
1977.
1977.
All right? Mm-hmm. Because this one is a blaxploitation superhero film.
Okay.
Abar,
the Black Superman.
The first Black Superman.
Yeah.
Starring J. Walter Smith. Mm-hmm. Upon moving into a bigoted neighborhood, the scientist father of a persecuted black family gives a superpower elixir to a tough bodyguard who then becomes a superpowered crime fighter.
Yeah, Abar.
This film was the brainchild of James Smalley, a black pimp from Louisiana, and Frank Packard, a white actor and screenwriter. It was filmed partly in a working whorehouse.
Yeah.
Smalley ran out of money before the film was completed and had to sell the film to the owner of a film processing lab to settle his unpaid bills. It was originally titled Super Black when it was completed in 1975, but it was retitled to Abar, the First Black Superman, upon its 1977 release. And the film was shot in black neighborhoods in and around Los Angeles without permits to do so. And at one point, actual motorcycle gang members who had been hired to play a black motorcycle gang surrounded the cars of the white police officers who had been called in to shut down the shooting. The officers chose to stay in their cars.
As one, yeah. Have you seen that? Have you seen it?
I've never seen this movie.
It commits the worst crime of all of blaxploitation movies in that it's actually a little dull.
Really?
Yeah. But the story about the making of it, and I haven't heard all those details. I heard the working whorehouse part, and I feel like I've heard the part about
the gang. Yeah.
The story around it sounds amazing, though.
Yeah, see,
I kind of want a documentary about the making of Abar, the first black Superman.
I don't even know if I need a documentary. I need like a Dolomite. My name is Dolomite movie,
like a dramatic reenactment
of the making of Abar, the first black Superman.
Yeah, these three have not been good.
No, okay,
these three have not been good.
Well, we've got two more.
And hope springs eternal.
Number two. This one is from 1974.
Right.
And it's The Black Godfather. Written and directed by John Evans, starring Rod Perry, Don Chastain, Diane Summerfield, and Jimmy Witherspoon. The plot is about JJ, a rising star in the black crime scene who is in the process of consolidating his power over the neighborhood. One of the only remaining obstacles is the white heroin cartel that is reluctant to abandon such a lucrative market. Tensions rise, and an explosive confrontation is the result in The Black Godfather.
Yeah, it's all right. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Yeah, it's all right.
Never seen it.
It's all right. Speaking of, it seems like something that not Hell Up in Harlem. I just forget the other
100 across 100.
No, the other that Hell Up in Harlem is a sequel to.
Oh,
just dropped.
It's a Hell Up in Harlem. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second.
Anyway, it seems like a film Fred Williamson should have been in.
Well, yeah, you know that.
And it's part of the reason that we talk about, you got it?
Hell Up in Harlem, I've got it here, is the sequel to Black Caesar. I wanted to say Black Caesar.
Right, which is why we talk about Black Caesar instead of The Black Godfather.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
So The Black Godfather, it missed its mark.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, number one of the blackened classic movies.
The blackened classic movies.
And this one, I think we can agree, hits its mark maybe slightly off center.
All right, and that would be?
From 1972.
1972.
American International Pictures.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Blackula.
Of course.
Starring William Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
In the title role of an 18th century African prince who was turned into a vampire by Count Dracula.
That's right.
And then in the year 1780, after Dracula refuses to help suppress the slave trade.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Blackula was released to mixed reviews in the United States, but was one of the top grossing films of the year and was the first film to receive an award for Best Horror Film at the Saturn Awards.
Okay.
And then was followed up by the sequel in 73, Scream, Blackula, Scream. This is a movie that we actually were talking about just earlier today on the radio with our friend Tanya Pendleton.
Yeah, shout out to Tanya.
On Word Radio. This is a movie that the story is good.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
great, but it's good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's definitely like a nice little original take. You know,
it really is.
And William Marshall in the title role,
Fantastic.
acting his butt off.
Fantastic. Love William Marshall.
The production values are what let down this movie.
100%.
That's the only thing that lets down this movie.
100%, and that dumbass name.
Yes. You wish they could have.
Yes, we are big fans of Blackula, and to at risk going back into the comic talk again, I mentioned this. The comic writer Rodney Barnes has written a graphic novel that's a direct sequel to Blackula, because I think it's best if we all pretend Scream Blackula Scream never happened. And it is ridiculously good. Like, I was like, why in the world is Blackula so good? Like, there's no reason for this to be as good as it is.
But that's because the bones are there in the real story of the actual film.
Blackula is fantastic.
Yeah.
In spite of.
It's because of that.
The production values,
It's because of that I fear that as much as we love Blackula, then 2023, if we try to invite people to go and rewatch and watch Blackula, the production values are such that I don't think they're really going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because you can get lost in almost like the comedy of some of the stuff that is happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
There. And that is why I think that this is a film that is begging.
It really is.
It is begging to be reimagined as a film, as a series.
I was about to say, because you could do a television series.
Yeah.
You know, you
could do a television series. You don't even have to get him into the city. It could just be him versus Dracula.
I was just about to say, that scene, there is a scene at the beginning of Blackula,
the movie. Yes,
where he is sitting having basically this war council.
Right, when he's Mama Walde.
When he's just Prince Mama Walde or you know, and he is trying to gather allies to deal with this transatlantic slave trade. And he miscalculates that Dracula could be an ally.
Right.
And I believe he doesn't know that Dracula is a vampire.
No, he doesn't.
He's just going to other royalty. And it is a great conversation. And then you realize that Dracula is racist. And then it kind of but it really like you, I could have a television series where half of it could be in current times, or, you know, go hard, make it a period piece.
Yes.
Half of it could be set in the 70s, and half of it could be set in the 1700s. I'd watch that.
I'd watch it all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's the one right there.
Yeah,
that's the one right there. So,
all right. Well, that is our top 5, ladies and gentlemen. I see that in the chat, Robert Monroe Jr. has mentioned that Rodney Barnes has mentioned that Blackula is going to appear in his other series, Philadelphia.
Like Spawn's going to show up in the set. Like it's about to be bananas.
Did you say Spawn?
Spawn, yes.
Spawn is going to show up in Philadelphia.
Look, if you are a comic reader and you are not reading Philadelphia, you should absolutely be reading Philadelphia.
Especially if you like horror comics.
Right, horror comics, yes.
Is it a scary book?
It is actually scary.
Oh, so I won't be reading.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because I think it's primarily because I do most of my comic reading before I go to bed.
Got you.
So horror comics?
No.
My dreams don't need that fuel.
Look, when I get my it's so funny we're saying this. I actually have 2 piles. Like, I actually have my daytime pile.
See? Exactly.
I actually have a daytime pile. And Philadelphia is very much, I'm gonna read this while I'm eating lunch midday.
Out in the sun.
Yeah, because it is very atmospheric and very disturbing. Like, it's actually a horror comic, but I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're 1-2 degrees at most from Rodney Barnes.
Yeah.
Like please, missionaries that know Mr. Barnes, give him a shout out. Like he's got a couple of fans. So
there you go.
There you go. All right. Top 5.
Top 5.
All right.
All right. You know what you've been waiting for. It is time for the Game of Kings.
The Game of Kings.
Dylan, play that beautiful theme music, will you please?
You'd be surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where I give Vincent 2 actors and he has 6 films to connect them to the blackened black man of all time.
Yes.
One D'Urville Martin.
There is no blackening of D'Urville Martin.
Nothing. Original black.
Original black.
I think he turned Blackula.
That's right.
Vincent.
Yes.
Keeping in theme.
All right.
These are white actors.
White actors.
With black names.
White actors with black names. I like this already. Let's see how black these names are.
All right.
White actors who have gone through the blackening. That they probably should apply for jobs in person.
Starting with number 1.
Right. Who is this white actor whose resume has gotten thrown out every time they mail in a resume?
This would be one Toby Jones.
Toby Jones. Wait, Toby Jones. What the hell is Toby Jones? Because I thought you said Toby Maguire. I was like, no, Toby Jones. Who is Toby Jones?
He has played. He's been in quite a few movies, Vincent. Let me bring up his
picture.
His picture. You see his picture there on the screen?
I can't quite see it.
Let's see if I can bring up his. There's a closer up picture of him. It's the same picture though. He's been in quite a few films, and I'm
Toby Jones.
I think it's safe to say you've seen a few of his movies. As I'm looking in his, more than a few, I would believe.
Pull that back some, Dylan, because now it just looks weird. All right. Toby Jones. Mm-hmm. He looks like a guy who's always around. Plays like a little scientist.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Plays like a little.
You're on the right track.
Scientist guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm Toby. Oh wait, wasn't he in Captain America?
I believe he was.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Marvel Sludge. Marvel Sludge. D'Urville Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams is in Mo Better Blues with Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is in Captain America: The First Avenger with Toby Jones.
Oh, that's right. He shows up at the end.
Yeah.
He shows at the end. Okay, yes, you're right. You're right. Now, do you remember who he plays in Captain America?
Doesn't he play MODOK?
Well,
the guy who turns into MODOK?
Right, Zola.
Yeah.
Arnim Zola.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. What else was he in that I would have recognized?
Okay. Did you see Atomic Blonde?
You know what? I didn't.
Oh, great action movie.
Okay.
Did you see any of the... I think he was in... He was in The Hunger Games.
And I saw The Hunger Games. But
he was in Catching Fire. He was also... Well, yeah, I think he was in all 3 of them. He was in... most recently... He was in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
which I still haven't seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, he's
okay. All right.
He's done a fair amount of work.
Okay. All right, there you go, Toby Jones.
He was in Jurassic World.
Yeah, he looked like a dude who would be in Jurassic Park telling that old man this is a bad idea. Poppycock! We can bring them back! It'll be wonderful! Invite the kids. I took, Camille was probably 10. I forget how old she was when that first of this second wave of Jurassic Park movies came out. And remember the part where the lady falls out of she's on the on the monorail or whatever, she falls out and the dinosaur jumps out the water.
Oh yes.
And eats her. And Camille looked at him and said, Is she gonna be all right? Is she gonna be okay? And I said, no, sweetie, I don't think she is.
I was looking for the movie where Toby played one of his more famous roles. He was in the movie in 2006, Infamous, where he played Truman Capote.
Oh, he sure did. Because he looks like him.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Toby Jones is a pretty black name.
That is a name.
Yeah, that's Toby Jones. Yeah.
That is a black name, right?
Right.
All right.
Although it actually isn't a black name because there's not a black person on earth who has named their child Toby since Roots.
That is a good point.
So there's that.
That is a good point.
All right. Who else we got a black name?
Black name number 2.
Black name number 2.
Then we're going to stay in the world of the Joneses.
Standard Jones is a pretty black name.
January Jones.
January Jones. Well, January Jones was in X-Men: The First Class.
That's correct.
Wasn't she?
That is correct.
And who the other person that was in X-Men First Class is Kevin Bacon actually in X-Men First Class? So we can actually use Kevin Bacon. Okay, so this is how
we could connect D'Urville Martin
to Kevin Bacon because D'Urville Martin, and I think I messed this up before because there's actually a 2-step that I miss because D'Urville Martin is in I believe Sheba Baby with Pam Grier, and Pam Grier is in Hitman with Bernie Casey.
Okay.
Like I said before, that D'Urville Martin's in, but it's really Pam Grier. So Pam Grier is in Hitman. Hitman with Bernie Casey.
Okay. You're unsure, so I'm going to look that up. Just
right.
On the safe side. But go ahead, making your.
Is that the name of it?
Hitman?
I think it's called Hitman. It's Bernie Casey and Pam Grier.
Bernie Casey, Hitman. That is Bernie Casey in Hitman.
And I know Pam Grier's in there.
And with Pam Grier.
Right. And then Bernie Casey is in Cornbread, Earl and Me with Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne is in Quicksilver with Kevin Bacon, who is in X-Men: The First Class with January Jones.
Well, very good.
Yeah, boy. Quicksilver.
I like pulling out Quicksilver.
I pull out Quicksilver.
Okay. All right.
Kevin Bacon was a stockbroker, and then he quit or got fired. I forget what happened, but then he became a bike messenger.
Yeah.
Because 1982. This was an actual movie pitch.
Yeah.
That got turned into an actual movie.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
Bike messengers in New York.
Can't believe it. Yeah, I kind of basically, I think I saw that movie.
I don't think it's that bad. It's just a ridiculous concept.
It's a very ridiculous concept. But very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, well done, Vincent. All right. Now, it is time for us to get into our movie review.
We gonna blacken it up.
We're gonna get it. It's gonna get real dark.
We're gonna get Cajun.
As we get into our review of 2022's The Blackening.
The Blackening from 2022, a horror comedy directed by Tim Story, based on a story and script by Tim Story, Tracy Oliver, and I just missed
Dwight Perkins.
Dwight Perkins. 7 friends go away for the weekend only to find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. They must pit their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies and blackness against the murderer to stay alive. Grace Byers, Antoinette Robertson, Melvin Craig, Dwayne Perkins, Sinai Walls, Jermaine Fowler, with appearances by Yvonne Orji and Jay Farrow. This was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, what do you have to say about The Blackening?
Well, first let me correct it. It actually was, the name was Dwayne Perkins, who also was a star in the film. And this was the film that was derived originally from a sketch of the same name that Dwayne Perkins.
Right, a short film. It's like 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think on A Funny or Die. It was on. And like, now they blew it up into a full script and a full film. This was actually watching this for tonight's show. This is my 3rd time seeing this film. Okay. I saw this film originally when it was, upon its release, I went to a press screening. And I went to a press screening, and when our friend of the show, Ariel Johnson, went with me to see The Blackening, because this was a film that, based on its trailer, you wanted to see. Yes. It looked like it was going to be smart. It's going to be insightful, funny, maybe even a little scary, because you got that it was going to be a horror comedy, but it looked like, even some of the best horror comedies can still, get you if they're played right. And this movie looked like it was going to have all of that, right? And I went to see this film with Ariel, and me and her came out with like very mixed reviews of the film. But we weren't doing it for the show, so we kind of kept it to ourselves. But both of us were like, okay, I thought it was going to be a little sharper. Sure. Then about a couple of weeks later, I'm over at my sister's house, and I have like a group of about 5 or 6 young nieces in my family. And they were there watching television, and the commercial came on, and one of them started talking about, oh yeah, I want to see that. I really want to see it. It looks funny. It looks stupid. And I said, hey, I'll take y'all to the movies. Okay. So I took them when The Blackening came out. I took all of my nieces and my sisters. We all went to see The Blackening. It was my treat. And now the movie is out in theater, so it's I'm not watching it with press. I'm watching it with a crowd of people. Sure. A filled movie theater. And in that setting, and listening to everyone seeming like they genuinely enjoyed themselves. Sure. I got lost in it. I was like, okay. All right. Fun movie.
Right. And how did your nieces feel about it?
They liked it.
And how old are your nieces?
They range in ages from 14 down to 11.
Okay. All right.
Right. So it's perfect for them. Right. They liked it. And my two sisters, they liked it. So, hey, they enjoyed it. Sure. Great time at the movies. And then I had to watch it tonight. Right. For the show,
because now it's business.
Yeah. And this is the first time that I'm sitting there and I'm watching the movie by myself. And a lot of the mixed feelings that I had the first time that I watched the film, I'm starting to feel them again. And as I'm feeling them again, I remember specifically that my nieces enjoyed the movie. They did. But we went out to eat like right after the movie. And it was like, if I remember, it's like either a Fridays type place that was right in the same complex, right? So there were some people from the movie theater were there as well. And what I remembered was that as much as they seemed to enjoy the movie, when we were in the eating, nobody was talking about the movie.
Okay.
They weren't making any reference to the movie. So, and as I was kind of like not doing any hardcore ear hustling, but I didn't hear buzz around me from people who I knew had just come from the same theater as I did.
Sure.
And that is what I think was the letdown of The Blackening. If you watch the trailer for The Blackening, you are in on this movie. It feels like this is going to be a movie that is made by us, for us, that is speaking our language, that is embracing the Black experience, has some commentary that it wants to share with you about the Black experience in the horror sphere, has some inside jokes that, you know, only you and your best friends are going to get. And to be fair, there is a lot of that in this movie. But you also have the feel from the trailer that you're going to be watching either an uproariously, ridiculously funny movie,
Right.
or a movie that is going to be funny, but it's also going to unnerve you a little bit because it is a horror film.
Yes.
And this movie, has some chuckles in it because it's a comedy. But there's absolutely no fear in this movie whatsoever, despite some of the trappings. And I think the problem lies with the director.
Okay.
Before I get to the director, this was a movie that was made with a $17 million, I think like a $5 million budget, and it made like $17 million. It made like 3 times its budget.
Yeah.
So it made money.
Absolutely.
You know, it made its money back. Plus, the cast that you spoke of, they're fine. They're a fine group of young actors that are having some fun. I don't think they're given a script that is giving them a whole lot to work with outside of just building basic boilerplate, you know, horror trope characters. But they're having fun with it, and there's a slightly, you know, more African American bent to some of the tropeness that you see on scene. But they're fine. They get along pretty well. They're a nice looking cast. Dwayne Perkins as the writer of the original script and as one of the stars of the film is probably the standout of the actors because his character, it's probably a little bit more heightened, a little bit more you know, showy. But his character, I think, is the one that has the semblance of an arc in this movie. So they're fine. But Tim Story, who is the director of this film, who is on the record of saying that, you know, after doing his movie, he has a higher appreciation for horror movie directors.
Sure.
And the task in front of them. He is the person that lets down this movie. Tim Story, let's be fair, is a fine director. He's a professional director.
Absolutely.
But he's certainly not an auteur by any stretch of the imagination. Nor is he a man, I think, that brings any type of real creativity to his directorial pursuits, whether it be the Fantastic Four movies that he directed. Well, let's be fair. In the genre films that he's done.
I mean, even what did he do? Barbershop?
Yeah, but Barbershop.
Which Barbershop film did he do? Yeah.
I think he did like the first one, but like,
no, I don't think he did
I think it was. I
he
think
didn't do
wasn't
the first
it
one.
wasn't the first one.
Yeah,
I think it may have been like either the second or third one.
Right,
because you can see the difference.
And like you said, you can hand him a franchise and he isn't going to destroy it.
He ain't going to destroy it.
But at the same time,
he ain't going to do anything really with it.
Like
right?
you said,
but
competent director.
But especially in genre pieces, such as the Fantastic Four movies that he did, such as this, even though it's a comedy, still horror comedy. These are films that really ask for you to have some type of like style or technique to craft this specific, type of storytelling. And I'm watching this film in all of these medium shots, it's basically like two shots, like medium shots. There's no real. Sometimes there's close-ups for absolutely no reason, so you're missing action that's happening on the screen. Sometimes people are coming into the scene from like the opposite side of where they should be coming from. There's no real establishment of place here. The storytelling is very, very sloppy, and I think that he is the person that lets down this film and is the reason why the buzz that was generated off of the trailer did not translate onto the screen with the feature film, and why this film wasn't. I mean, it made its money back.
It kind of fizzled out.
But it fizzled out. It quickly fizzled out.
Yeah. It
quickly left the theaters. And it's a shame to everyone that was in this film because they're all doing great work, especially a shout out Dwayne Perkins. I think Grace Byers as the mixed race young girl. I think her name is Allison. She's very good in the film. And everyone else is fine. I just think that the lack of any type of technique in the storytelling lets down, which is basically like the story is boilerplate. You've seen the story in every one of the horror movies. It's just got like a little bit of a black bent to it. And some of the jokes are kind of cool, but like they're still very surface level,
right?
And there's no real digging in there. Like there's a great scene where one of the guys sits down, like because all of these kids they get together for Juneteenth, celebrating Juneteenth in a cabin in the woods. I don't know why, but that's what they're choosing to do. Because it's the 10-year anniversary of some great party that they had in college, so they're getting together for the first time in 10 years. Sounds kind of cool. Okay, that's your basic premise. Basic premise of every horror movie. It's got and they get together, and the one guy, kind of like really nerdy guy, they're sitting down to play spades, and he sits down. And he's like, "Hey, I want to play spades." He said, "But I don't remember how to play, and I didn't play it that often. But I don't really remember how to play. If y'all want to show me, like, catch me up, y'all play it."
Sure.
And everyone knows when there is a huge spades game, and this is a guy versus girl spades game, there's no time to be teaching some new person how to play spades.
Sure.
As a person that doesn't play spades, I have been godsmacked with this rule time and time again.
Yeah.
So I know that rule, right? And sure enough, this guy, he's smacked with this rule. Like, dude, we can't teach you.
Right.
We can't teach you. That is definitely some inside baseball type of black thing.
Sure.
That is happening there.
Sure.
But that is also meat that is on the bone waiting to be picked just a little bit more.
Right.
And it does nothing with it. It just leaves it on the bone. And I think that this movie does that time and time again throughout the film until it eventually devolves into, after a point, devolves into just like your basic, like, horror comedy, like, oh, kill him, whack him on the head, yeah. Certain beats that it has to get out of the way. and a lot of the cleverness of it is just gone. And I really think it's a shame. I really, at the end of the day, think The Blackening is just a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is a film that commits the cardinal sin that we've actually been talking about a couple of times over the past couple of weeks, commits a cardinal sin no less than 4 times throughout, very early in the film. First, there's a sort of beginning sequence with Jay Farrow and Yvonne Orji.
Yes.
And I think, frankly, anything with a group of black millennials, just sort of doing the math, it seems like they're in their early 30s. Mm-hmm. You can't have Yvonne Orji in there because Yvonne Orji was one of the faces of Insecure. Mm-hmm. So you can't, as we always say, reference something that was better than what you're doing right here. and Issa Rae and the writers and creators on Insecure, the writing was so sharp that to hear words come out of Yvonne Orji's mouth that aren't as sharp as what you're used to hearing from her is already kind of puts you, kind of throws you off a little bit. The whole kind of wink meta commentary of Jay Farrow, Yvonne Orji. There's actually a joke upon a joke where they say, they reference Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Jr. in Scream 2. And they talk about them getting killed early because the film couldn't afford to keep them in the whole film. And then they have this very elongated beat where you realize they're referencing Jay Farrow and Yvonne Orji, who obviously this film couldn't afford to have in. But now you've referenced Scream directly.
Yep.
Which is another film that put a pin in that, does what this film is doing much better. Mm-hmm. Then, and this is all in the first 3 minutes, they reference The People Under the Stairs.
Yep.
Which is a film that does social commentary, racialized social commentary, which for all of it being a horror movie is really more in the spirit of something like Scream, where it's almost a horror movie with these touches of comedy. Again, better than what we're getting here on the screen. And then the 4th strike, because in this game of baseball, you get 4 strikes. There's a moment when the entire cast is now here, and one of the cast members, one of the characters, is married to a white woman.
Yes.
And they make this joke about how he's changed his ways and, now he eats granola and hikes, all of the stereotypical stuff. And then his boy says to him, "Oh, you're actually in the sunken place." And it's like, come on.
Right.
We really don't want us to start thinking about Get Out.
Yes.
But although Get Out isn't a film that has a lot of funny bits to it, even though, Lil Rel, I think Jordan Peele and sort of his early training, which you have to assume he had a lot to do with it, with some aspect of the skits on Key and Peele. And I mentioned last week, I am always impressed with how well the Halloween episodes of Key and Peele age, where they're both funny and scary at the same time. So whether you're talking about those skits, whether you're talking about something like certainly the first Scream and what Kevin Williamson does with Scream, whether you're talking about what Wes Craven does with The People Under the Stairs. This balance of horror and comedy is really difficult.
Very.
Like, really difficult to do. And much like you, I didn't think Tim Story was up to task with it. Having said that, as much as the script as much as the direction let me down, I thought the script really was something that you could tell they built up after the fact.
Yeah.
Because of the buzz that the 4-minute short film got. Mm-hmm. And if you rewatched the 4-minute short film, which I did earlier this afternoon, it still pops. Mm-hmm. Like, it still moves. It's got great energy, and that sort of density of jokes that you're talking about, you get it in those 4 minutes.
And it works.
And frankly, a lot of the good jokes in this movie are pulled directly from the short film. So that the film, the script and the direction isn't enough to really pull you in. Much like you, I like the cast. You know, I think it's a solid cast. You mentioned you mentioned a couple of people. I'm actually really fond of Antoinette Robertson,
right?
Who was on the film version. I mean, the television series Dear White People.
Yes,
I love Jermaine Fowler. Like, I actually am a fan of his since Sorry to Bother You. Mm-hmm. And, you know, frankly, the twist that you know was coming, I knew immediately.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you bring in Jermaine Fowler to have him over on the side. Like you immediately know what his deal is. And even though the character that he creates is frankly a big swing, like, this is a big swing, this kind of character he's put together. I kind of, like, for me, he kind of pulls it off.
Yeah.
Like, by the end, like, for me, I really was kind of going back and forth with this thing, like, it's all right, But then you get this great monologue by him at the end, where, for me, he kind of pulls the thing barely over the finish line.
Yeah.
Because of him. Having said that, I thought sharp was a good word, because I think there is something here that if it was sharpened, it could have hit a little harder with the social commentary. As you said, there's this plot point, which turns out to be a major plot point about this character that Jermaine Fowler plays, Clifton, not being that good at spades. Mm-hmm. And when you couple that with the sort of comedic conceit of the whole movie, that, you know, they're questioning each other and peppering each other about their blackness. Mm-hmm. And this sentiment that blackness is a series of sort of knowledge points, and, you know, like, you know, how many years was dark-skinned Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince, and you know, what is the second lyric of the black of Lift Every Voice and Sing, which, you know, these are great questions, because they very are much questions like, oh yeah, well, how many years was like the fact that, you know, dark-skinned Aunt Viv and light Aunt Viv, and everybody knows who that is, but you don't say like Daphne Reed and Janet Hubert. No. It's like, oh, it's dark-skinned Aunt Viv and light-skinned Aunt Viv. And the fact that, as you said, it really has become this detail in black pop culture about spades. But the thing that differentiates spades from other things that you'd say, oh, well, you should know that because you're black. Everything else that you can name, you can learn that on your own.
Exactly. Like,
you don't know the words, the second verse of the Black National Anthem. You don't. You don't know when dark-skinned Aunt Viv was on The Fresh Prince. You don't know that. You can kind of study
look it up, yeah.
But spades is communal.
Yep.
Like, you have to play it with a group. So, and it really is this kind of window where you got to learn it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't learn it inside that window, it really is so that this sort of subtext, because it hasn't been sharpened enough to be text, of what it means to be in a community, never really gets to where it is. So again, back to this great monologue at the end, like Jermaine Fowler and his, you know, spoiler, I guess, his reasoning for doing what he does. Mm-hmm. it made perfect sense. Like you could see, you know, it upset me when I was young. Things kind of spiral out of control. But it's just not there throughout the film.
No, it's not. And I think also what lets this movie down is like the tagline is like, you know, we can't all die first.
Right.
Yeah, but this is a horror movie. One y'all gotta die. Like like outside of Yvonne Orji and Jay Farrow in the beginning of the film,
right,
who are basically, you know, we know that they're bait. Like
right.
we know they're going to die.
Right.
Right. Their contract says you can only be on screen the X amount of time.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But after that, the unspoken contract in a horror movie is that other people are going to die.
Right. It would seem that way.
And it usually is people that you are kind of, one or two of them are usually people that you're rooting for.
Right.
No one else dies in this movie that we're rooting for.
Right.
And it's like, so because of that, by the time you get to the end, there are no stakes. You don't believe.
There are no stakes.
You don't believe anything is going to happen. So you're basically just sitting there like, okay, can we be done now?
And again, any sort of commentary isn't sharpened to the point where it has an edge. Like there's this great sort of duplicating of that wonderful moment at the end of Get Out, where you think the police show up, and how there was this amazing commentary on that trope in horror movies, where now you've returned to normalcy because the police have shown up. But when you're black, there's a whole
different thing.
Like you're talking about crowds. One of the greatest communal experiences of my life has been in a theater, and how the crowd racially responded to those flashing lights at the end of Get Out. And that was the moment where I said, this is actually genius, because you could hear the white people sigh with relief, and you could hear the black people go, oh shit, it's the police. And it's a dead white woman 10 feet away from him.
And there's a difference in a director, a storyteller who is working with intentionality in how he's putting together his movie.
Right.
That scene allows the space for all of that to happen.
Because he understands how this is going to hit different.
Exactly.
Whereas with this, they kind of make this throwaway joke. And it just sort of fizzles. Like it doesn't, they don't really do anything with it. So
the whole time I'm watching this, because the question when they eventually, like, they play this game, The Blackening. They find this game, The Blackening, in the movie, and they have to play this game, otherwise one of them gonna die or all of them are gonna die. And they've got to answer these questions. And to get to the question about the second verse of the Black National Anthem. Which, to be fair, the commentary is right there in the movie. A lot of people don't know. Most people don't. We all know the first verse, and even then, like one of the actors says, we kind of mouthing the words.
Right.
But with that question, I would have absolutely loved if this movie had the bravery, and it would have had to be brave to do this, instead of everything else, had just played the game and see, because how tension filled would it have been with questions that a lot of the audience would have been like, oh shit, I don't know. Like, because then they asked the next question. One of the questions that you see him ask is about Nas. And
right. The math from one mic.
You got to break down the math. And like, I would have loved to hear people like, oh. Like, because that would have been real tension. That would have been real freaking tension. Like, right there, it would have been a communal experience.
Right.
And that's what this movie is begging you, like the audience, or at least me. I'll just speak for me. I'm begging for this movie to welcoming it into be a part of this world, and never does it really let me in.
Yeah. I think, again, there's a film that is neither fish nor fowl. Like, it couldn't decide what it wanted and going the direction that you wanted to do, which is kind of fascinating because the film was sued unsuccessfully by a couple of different, including there was a card game, Black Card Revoked, which basically the version that you're talking about would be a dramatization of people playing it, which again, I think this is a really fertile source of story and commentary, especially as blackness becomes more and more fractured. What is it that makes you black? Like, what are the metrics of being black? How do we talk about gatekeeping, this, that, and the other? But there's you've got to have, as you said, intentionality. You've got to have some sharp writers.
Yep.
Who have a clear path of what they're trying to discuss and talk about. And I don't know if there was that. Well, I don't know if there was that level of attention to that part of it. Or the other version of this film, you get rid of the game and it's just almost a straight horror film, but you have 7 black people.
Yeah.
And how do 7 black people
react,
deal with it? Like, there's this great moment where my girl Antoinette Robinson kind of has this candlestick and she, is beating the dude's head and she says, "Why do black women have to save everybody?" And I said, well, there's a version of this movie.
Yep.
There's a version of this of black people kind of figuring it out, improvising and problem solving and,
Yeah.
But it's like you never get either one. I will say this about about them being out in the woods. I like how they handled it. It was an Airbnb, because it is hilarious to me personally. People go anywhere as long as it's an Airbnb. It's like cabin in the woods. Yeah, but it's an Airbnb. So yeah, we were sure. But
I did just book an Airbnb for April of this year. So.
It's like a haunted house in the middle of a cemetery.
It's not in the middle of the cemetery, but it's a house.
Right. But because you saw it on your phone, you said, "Oh yeah,
it looks nice. It's got a movie projector screen.
Let's go ahead and book it.
Me and some guys, we're gonna go watch WrestleMania.
Yeah, go ahead and book it.
We booked it.
I know.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, But the real question, of course, would you recommend The Blackening?
See, here's the thing. See, this is a tricky part because
it's our whole deal.
I think at the end of the day, I would land on recommending The Blackening with this one proviso.
It's a proviso.
That you watch this with a crowd.
Okay.
I think it's a film that a crowd will enjoy enough, have fun with it, get through and get through it and say, okay, that was cool. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is a film that you just, let me sit there and on my own, or this is not Netflix and chill.
Right.
Film.
Right.
This is game night or dinner party, just like on, and everybody's catching like a funny reference here and there,
right,
type of thing. So I would recommend it. This is good for the cookout.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is very much a film that plays better with the crowd. Like you, I liked, at the very least, everyone in the cast, and there are several cast members that I really, really enjoy their work. It is a film with a lot of shortcomings, but the shortcomings are based on unfulfilled potential.
Right.
So that I will also say that I am glad that it made 3 times as much money as it cost to make it, because that means that financially there is a chance that there could be a Blackening 2. And what I'm hoping is that now that they have sort of a first draft, now that, you know, maybe they get a little time to work on something, like there's something here.
Yeah, but I hope fair. But you can't bring back Tim's story. You've got to get it. You've got to. Somebody's got to.
I think it needs. I think this is and I don't think you are. I don't think this is any disrespect to Tim's story. I think this is a really hard kind of movie to make. Like, I really do think it's only a handful of directors that can make a comedy horror film.
Well, I'm not going to say that, because I think a smart director can pull it off. I would actually love to see. I'd love to see. I mean, it's easy to pull up Jordan Peele or Nia DaCosta.
I don't know if I want to see Nia DaCosta.
No, but I'm just saying it's easy to pull names like that. I actually would love to see this in the hands of Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe might be a good pull.
I would like to see Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe might
a sharp. I think she would help pull some writers to tighten up that script a little bit more.
Oh, well, it goes without saying the script would be tighter. That goes without saying. Like, hopefully, you know. I mean, frankly, I feel like I like the entire writing staff of Insecure. Like, I know some of them have gone on, but you know, hopefully Yvonne Orji could shoot up the Insecure signal and get that writing staff.
Yeah, because I think she may have gotten like a small producer credit.
I was about to say, I think she had a producer credit.
So yeah.
So.
All right.
So there you go. The Blackening.
The Blackening.
Both of us are recommending it.
Yes, we are.
With a crowd if you can.
Yes, with a crowd. So all you missionaries get together.
Yeah.
And y'all can watch The Blackening.
Yeah.
Together. All right. We got some news about upcoming events here on the Micheaux Mission. But before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to hit us up with your feedback. Email us at the Micheaux Mission at gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION at gmail.com. Let Vincent and I know what is on your mind. You can also follow us on your favorite social media, whether it be Instagram, the social media formerly known as Twitter, or Facebook, at Micheaux Mission, where you can also join the Facebook group and chat with all of the missionaries as we talk and banty about movies, up and coming, movie history, TV. They have a whole great time in our Facebook group. Please also like and subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on your favorite podcast catcher, whether or not it be Apple, Spotify, Pandora. If you get a podcast, look up the Micheaux Mission. We're right there. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission, including YouTube, where you're watching us live right now. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new videos going up, when our lives are scheduled, and when our shorties go up. Because people really like the shorties. They blow up.
Oh, yeah.
Really
it's
fast.
Like a little bonbon.
It's a little... If you like what you see here on the beautiful Micheaux Mission set here at Young Junk, you can book your own time in one of their fabulous studios. Go to thevideocontentfactory.com and book time in one of the studios here at Young Junk in Manayunk in Philadelphia. And the Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcast work. All right. Next week will be October 31st on next Tuesday.
Yes.
Which will actually be the day of Halloween.
Yes.
So Vincent and I will not be here.
We will not.
We will not. We will be out trick-or-treating. I will be going. Vincent will be taking out his young son, and I will be going and searching for all the Three Musketeers I can eat.
By yourself?
Yes.
Just
Me, a man in his bag.
I don't know if that's. You should probably be easy with that.
What?
Trick or treat.
But if they don't have 3 Musketeers, I'm just go to the next house.
Y'all got any 3 Musketeers?
You got 3 Musketeers. Thank you. Just go to the next house.
Just go to the next house.
It's only with 3 Musketeers.
All right. You be easy out there with an empty pillowcase going from door to door.
No. As it was recently pointed out to me, I may have 150 of like the new like shopping bags that you get at supermarkets, because every time I go to the supermarket, I never have my bags with me, so I buy 2 more.
Sure.
And I've got about 150 of them up on top of my cabinet.
Just gonna be walking out holding several bags.
Yes.
Y'all got any 3 Musketeers in
3
here?
Musketeers.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm a specific type of treater.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be here next week.
We're not going to be. Hopefully, both of us will be here the week after next.
But we will be returning in November.
Yes, sir.
And when we come back in November, oh boy, do we have fun for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Because all month long in November, we are going to be celebrating adaptations and reimaginings of the work of William Shakespeare.
Oh, this is going to be so fun.
Under the banner that we call the Bards of November.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait. And we will kick things off in grand style from 1995 with Lawrence Fishburne and Kenneth Branagh in William Shakespeare's Othello.
Othello, that's right.
Right here on the Micheaux Mission. That'll be Tuesday, November 7th. November 7th, ladies and gentlemen. That's when we'll be back here live from Young Chunk. All right? Until then, he's Vincent. I'm Len. And in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Thank you, Nakia.